Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 556, and today we're playing the Berserker in Backpack Battles. And so we're continuing on this run through with the Berserker. I'm getting less and less convinced that I'm going to be able to hit Masters within the next week, but we're going to continue up this run with the Berserker. Maybe we'll make a decent run through Diamond or something, or maybe I'll have some kind of breakthrough in terms of gameplay over the course of the next week. But nonetheless, still having a good time. Let's get out here, have ourselves some good battles. And so, reasonable enough start. I always love these early game starts that have a on sale leather armor. It's just so hard to overcome that 45 armor right at the start, and then getting it leveled up with the forging hammer is pretty sweet as well. Otherwise, I'm not the hugest fan of going after the hero sword within the Berserker. You can go for the Goobert, which then combos with a bit of the Berserker stuff, but it's just not something I'm really in love with. But, looking at this start, if we don't want to roll and we want to take advantage of the sales, then we're going to be taking the shield. I think that that's fine. And then we're going to take the wooden sword, just kind of make sure we have ways to continue on through combat here. But the question's going to be, do we want to lock this whetstone? Or I guess the question to be is, do we want to take the... I guess that's one angle we could take here is if we look to say make the torch. All right, you can make the torch out of the wooden sword and the lump of coal, and then perhaps look to upgrade the torch into the mystic torch, whatever it's called. And so that would let us kind of avoid going down this path of whetstone. Maybe that's the way to do it. I feel okay with this. It's efficient. It doesn't require any items to fall to be successful over the course of the next few turns. I think it's a good start. But yeah, see, this is the real greatness of kicking off with these leather armors. I'll be surprised if this opponent is even able to crack through our armor. They probably won't get us down to even like 30 damage taken. And so it looks like this battle's going to drag on for a little bit, but there's just no way they're going to fight through that sustain on the armor itself. Yeah, here comes that fatigue. The fatigue was what did everyone in there. And all right, so how do we want to continue on here? I'm always happy to pick up bananas, but there's no other real combos in sight here. The broom builds within the Berserker don't really excite me, and these other items are garbage. I would like to pick up more bag space, though, right? We have 10 hexes dedicated to just defensive shit at the moment, and so we do definitely need to pick up some bags, see if we can't do anything from there. So that's fine. I'm not opposed to chasing down things like the Walrus Tusk here. We are going to be in this very defensive style of space to where, again, we have the dragon scale and the buckler, and so picking up some points of thorns isn't that bad. And then I'm not entirely opposed to chasing after thorns within the Berserker as is. Like the claws of attack can be a pretty reasonable supporting style attacky equipment within the Berserker builds, and so there is some potential there to look to come in and use this as a kind of empowered generator, and then use the empowered with other things like the busted blade. That's a very expensive combo looking at claws of attack, busted blade, but generating that empowered can be kind of nice across the Berserker builds. And so I think this is okay. I'm not going to merge it into the wooden buckler. I don't think, like, if we have a second thorns turn up, then I might consider it, but the buckler is something I tend to sell off pretty early, and I don't want to just have it hanging around if we don't need it. Feels like a waste of a walrus tusk if we're just going to get rid of it like that. All right, let's see how we hold up against the Berserker. He's got the thorns. He's got a big stack of stuff, but I think our armor is going to hold through. I typically worry whenever I see our battle rage kick off so early, but just a function of the armor not quite being ready to use. Okay, so interesting stuff. There is another leather armor, which I don't hate having multiple stacks of these, but I tend to want to be more in line with food style of builds as to where we plan on sustaining and going into fatigue, and then having these extra armors and everything that happens when you hit battle rage is more kind of expected to happen. But if you're in more of like an attacky strike kind of build, then having the multiple armors does tend to just just take up space and not really help you deal more damage. It helps you not die but not deal damage. And so if it was on sale or if we were in food, I think I would definitely snatch this leather armor up, but I don't think it's something we need at the moment. Otherwise, there is a pan on sale. It's not horrible in the sense that you can look towards the cheese builds with the Excalibur, but again, we've seen one banana and taken 0 food total, and so I don't think I'm really amped about that. Let's just roll on. All right, so definitely want the bag. That's the easy one. Not finding any real build-around stuff here, though. There is a dagger, which I do like the daggers. It's kind of a tough pass for me. I am a big fan of going for the stun-based builds. And then there is a food down here just in the onion. I think we'll end up just snatching both of these. The dagger and the garlic hopefully just gives us a little bit of direction in terms of what's going to be happening in our build here. What do we got? I think we're okay. Dude's about to upgrade to his hero sword, but I don't think he's going to out-damage our armor here. He does have the double bananas with the foods going, though. It's a little bit scary, the amount of sustain he has. But I think once fatigue kicks in, we're going to see his health fall, and that big boost from the armor is not going to be overcomeable. Overcomeable, the word of the day. Alright, so interesting. Let's move forward here a little bit. Like, I'm fine to pick up these, like the blueberries and the banana, get a little bit of food working within the build. If we're going to be upgrading the torch to the Mystic Torch or whatever, then this is kind of in line with what we're needing as well. So I think that's okay. Don't really want the piggy bank, though. Otherwise, happy to pick up... Oh, we're already out of money? How are we already out of money? That doesn't seem accurate. Fucking fine. Nothing to really sell. Like I'm looking at this buckler and just being like, I don't want you. It's just like we're so strapped for space at the moment that I think it's fine to just get rid of. Okay, so we can get our foods up and running in here. We'll put them up at the top so that they can join in with each other. We could look to fit it down here a little better within our bags, but I don't really feel like messing with that. So we'll skip over that aspect. I am going to pick up this health potion, though. It's going to combine with the blueberries to make the mana potion. We want that. I'm curious as a touch about the gloves. It's a reasonable upgrade up here with the dragon scale armor. Just gives us a little bit more utility with the battle rage kind of items, but they tend to not be ultra effective type of things. I don't think we want to overcommit to what we're saving here. All right, so I think we're definitely going to be good here again. There's no way that this pan is going to deal enough damage to take us down. And so it's going to be another round to where we're going to have to wait until fatigue hits, but it's not going to sustain the damage through our armor. All right, got him. All right, lots of low damage builds running through today. So interesting stuff. I'm not a huge fan of Artifact Stone Heat. Like, we do have a handful of ways to gain heat. Like, if we end up pushing ourselves towards food or pushing ourselves towards pets, there's a lot of ways for heat to get generated, and it does kind of work nice with say stacking those two weapon things onto the dagger and the forging hammer, since they're just out here striking over and over and over again. But it's not really my favorite thing to be chasing down here. Otherwise, I do want to pick up the health potion. Do we want this thing? It is just like a one slot item that has a lot of value to it, in the sense that it doesn't take up a lot of space and can give us a big boost whenever that heat does hit. I think the thing that's interesting to me here with this is, if we're going to take this Artifact Stone Heat, what are we going to push towards with that afterwards, right? I kind of want to be towards food, which is reasonable. We would have a couple of attacky items, would probably just look to pick up a chain whip and have the artifact stone on like the torch and the chain whip. The other thing here is you can look to just pick up the axe and go towards the gemstones. We haven't seen any gem things up to this point, so I'm not really amped about that. And then there is the hammer. We could potentially look to go towards stun comps with the hammer and the brass knuckles, and then use the heat thing on top of the dagger and on top of like the brass knuckles to really punch in a lot of damage. But I don't feel like we would generate the heat if we push over towards the hammer. And so I think I'm going to look to build towards this artifact stone heat, but we're going to have to be in the space of kind of a food build to do so. So with this, I'm going to take a roll. We have a ton of money here. We're up at 6 gold. I don't really want to pass the round with 7 gold just hanging out. And now we do at least see a couple of options here with the garlic that we want. And I'm going to pick up the pan with the idea now that if we're looking towards food, we'll probably need to look towards Excalibur as well. All right, something like that looks reasonable enough. Let's jump on in. Dude just got a broom. Nobody's bringing the deeps today. It feels like these rounds have been very free. I'm curious how much of these rounds we'd be winning if it was just like our armor and our hammer against just the nonsense these people are trying to bring. It just seems like every single round has just been free at this point because nobody's actually bringing any damage. So, interesting stuff. All right, so here we can come in and upgrade the torch to the Mystic Torch. That's what we were kind of looking for out of this thing. I'm fine with that. So let's go ahead and just get that lined up. Now, the other thing here, we're going to want the leather bag, and then we're still just kind of maintaining on this artifact stone heat. And I think I'm kind of fine with that. We'll eventually get the money together to do it. So let's do this. I am going to pick up the gloves. I would like to have that at some point, and then we can take the on sale tusk. I don't want to mix. We should do it this way. Here we go. I do want to make the dragon gloves. I do not want to make the attacky thorns weapon thing. I don't really envision us keeping these thorns. We're not going to go towards that, and so we'll probably just sell them here in a little bit. We're going to have our weapons be the forging hammer, the mystic torch, and then the pan, ideally upgraded to Excalibur. It looks right. I was like, did we lose a food? We did lose a food, but it was from that mana potion. That makes sense. What's going on with this guy? Just a pan? What is the deal with this stuff today? Just nobody bringing any kind of real attack power. I mean, we're starting to fall. I guess his pan has a bunch of stuff attached to it, so maybe we are going to finally get to the point to where our armor can't sustain through this fatigue. But man, it's wild how this stuff's been going. All right, reasonable enough upgrades though. We did get our Mystic Torch. Very happy to add this one in. Gives us just a bit of scaling attack power in terms of what we're going to be bringing the rest of the way. Do need to pick up a mana generation to actually use those abilities, but it shouldn't be that hard to find blueberries and the mystic orbs and stuff, and so I think that'll be fine. Otherwise, I'm starting to want to get this reserved space used. Like, I kind of feel like we can just sell this dagger. Well, maybe not the dagger. Maybe we just start selling the walrus tusks we don't really want. Finally pick up the artifact stone heat. Definitely want to get the spiked collar here, and now we should be able to rearrange this bag just a touch better. Like, I'm leaning towards, it's going to be in the space of something like this to where our to where our magic torch does get to land on both of the weapons, and then we can put the dragon claws down on the torch. I think, is there a way to kind of just rotate this to where it works a little better? Because I wouldn't mind having the torch, like I don't want something like let me see. This is my least favorite part of the game. It's like I want the torch in here, and I want both of our items on the torch. right? And it needs, we want the, here we go. We want the forging hammer and the dagger getting upgraded by the torch, and then we want the dragon claws hitting the torch, and then we can put this thing down here in the bottom. And so this will work for now. This is going to get kind of fucked as soon as we look to as soon as we look to get the Excalibur in here. But at the moment, I think this is okay. Now, do we want to go up to high stamina? Probably not. If we had more bananas, I would be okay with it. But with just the singular banana, I don't think that's going to be super worthwhile. All right, it's starting to come together though. Again, like I would prefer to have just like, we need one more attacky type item, but we're pretty close to getting there. I think my concern at this point is we haven't really found a ton of food, and so I'm worried that the game doesn't realize we're trying to build food, and so they may not turn up with the density that we really need. But we'll see. We'll see. And so, yeah, as far as these go, like, I'm not a huge fan of the wolf emblem, but we can build towards this just a little bit if we want, right? When we're looking to say, when you have the 3 empowered, you get some kind of bonuses, and then where were we getting our empowered? I thought we had empowered from something. Slipping my head. I thought for some reason this artifact stone heat was giving us empowered, but we can pick it up just a little bit. Otherwise, this isn't particularly a shaman build. We're not going to have sockets in anything. That's not really going to pay off. The chieftain could be okay. Increasing the size out on our battle rages is always nice. And then during the battle rages, it does give us a little bit of ways to gain mana, which strikes me as definitely better than the wolf emblem and the shaman mask. The anvil I like more if we're just doing a single weapon build around. So if we're building towards like one big busted blade or something, then the anvil can upgrade it, and then you can wrap it with your crafted items, but I don't think we're here. And then there's just the generally good brass knuckles, which does work with our multiple items, but we're not really playing the hammer stun kind of build, so it doesn't get a ton of effort and upgrades there. So I think we will pick the chieftain. We should start being able to, you know, land the nature stuff on top of our food as this tries to come together, and hopefully we can make that work out. But again, still just, I'm worried about our lack of foods at this point. But let's see, we'll pick up the bag. I'm worried about money as well, so I'm not going to spend the dagger. We're definitely just going to be looking for mana items, which is fine with something like the mana orb. I'm kind of leaning towards just making the holy armor as well. With the food comps, you do tend to just kind of sit around for a long time, but I do worry that we're just going to sit around too long. The other option is you can make pandemonium here with the dark crystal in the pan. That's what puts poison out whenever the food activates underneath it, which could be okay. Right? We're really just like looking for, we need an attacky style weapon to get in here and get as our second one. I was really kind of counting on Excalibur, but we haven't seen any cheeses or anything up to this point. It has me just a little bit concerned that they're not going to turn up. But let's YOLO it, you know? That's what they say, right? That's what they say. Yeah, let's just YOLO it a little bit. That's the word the kids are still using these days. And so, all right, this looks reasonable enough. It's not super effective this round, but hopefully the upgrades will start to kick where we want them to be. The downside to going towards the pandemoniums, it's not a super strong, well, it is it's a 2-second cooldown. Okay, I was getting my numbers mixed up here. It's one of the slower kind of base attack speed items, right? If we see the hero sword at like 1.4, the mana thirst attacking at 1.4, the chain whip is a little slower than it at 2.2. If we're going to be stacking the magic torch damage onto our attacky things, we would prefer those things to attack fairly fast. But man, I guess it is faster than the hammer and the dagger, so maybe that'll work itself out. All right. I think I'm convinced. I think it's okay enough. All right, the dragon build with no dragons. There we are. Now we're running out of stamina, but but hopefully the appearance of Pandemonium will kind of indicate to the game that hey, we're trying to do this thing here. We're trying to get the food going, and maybe that'll be enough. What did our items get up to here? 11 to 14 and 11 to 14. I saw the magic torch activating a few times out here. I was curious if our damage was ramping up well. All right, here's the Pandemonium. How are we going to make this work? What a clusterfuck of bags that we've managed to get here. I think this will just kind of all around to make it easy enough, right? If we look to have the torch on the Pandemonium, we've got the heat thing on the Pandemonium. The dagger is our bottom item. We'll probably upgrade that dagger at some point. And then I'm going to want something kind of like this, right? As to where we're going to have the dragon claws activating on the torch. So I guess that's reasonable enough looking here. Now we need to wrap the Pandemonium in food, but let's see what we roll to here real quick. I think I'm fine with the 1 hex bag. Going to be looking for more food and stuff. Of course, the heroic potion turns up just as soon as we make the Pandemonium. Like, we could switch from Pandemonium over to the Excalibur, but I don't want Excalibur unless I have the cheeses, and we just haven't seen any cheese up to this point, and so I'm not nearly as amped about that as I would like to be. But I mean, it's just like the full build is right here. I've never actually gone with just both, right? Just had the Pandemonium and had the and had the Excalibur within the same build. How much mana do these things use? The Pandemonium barely uses anything, right? 0.3 per second. These are just like 1.1 per second. Is there ever a world to where we just sell? We sell the torch and sell the dagger, and then look to. I think I might. Let's see. Let's see how this goes. Oh man, this is a strategy. This is a strategy for sure. So let's see here. Let's see what we can do. I'm gonna shift this nonsense up just a little bit. There were blueberries out here. Get that activated. Okay. Seems like it's kind of coming together there. Now we need the pan. I mean, at this stage, I mean, it's only high usage at this point. I don't know. That seems like a lot more reasonable than I was giving it credit for. I kind of want these boots as well, but not certain we'll have the space for it. Let's see. We need to get our dragon armor back in here, so let's shift everything down. Can fit it up here at the top for now. Got 1 hex for the dragon collar, and then not having the forging hammer on board isn't that big of a deal, right? It is free attack damage in the sense that it has a stamina 0, but we're not really generating empowereds at this point, and I think it's okay to leave. But I'm going to pick up these leather boots on sale. All right. Let's see how this goes. I've never done this before. I'm not really convinced on using both Pandemonium and Excalibur at the same time, but you gotta go for it at some point, right? Running out of stamina though. Definitely need more bananas or something. Okay. So here's this guy. gotta figure out how to make all of this fit. Let's roll a little bit first and see if we can't pick up some bags or some more food and see how we're going to navigate this from here. So we got a banana and we got a 2-slot bag. Okay. And then we don't really care about the attack speed on the Excalibur, right? We just care about the food activation. I guess it's not completely fair to say that we don't care about it, but it's not, critical point number 1 out of this item. But do we want to get it like this? Like we're missing out on a lot of food opportunities this way. But maybe that's where we start. It would be nice if we had more blueberries or something to fit in these slots, but our bags are definitely kind of lacking here. How's that look? Now this this deerwood thing is so far away from all of the good stuff. I guess that's okay. That's just something we'll have to work towards. All right. I'm gonna do this. Well, I'll just go ahead and pull the dagger out. I was gonna say I think like with how much we're hurting for space here, this is just never gonna work. So we'll hang on to the forging hammer back here. I think I'm okay with that. All right, battle.
Okay.
All the pans. It's definitely pandemonium out here. Oh, you got a giant crit right there at the end. Okay. Yeah, the stamina wasn't quite working out how we would want, but I feel like that's kind of coming together reasonably. And so let's move forward. Now there are nice things in here like the gin lamp and the bunny, but we gotta like find bags and food. Like that's just the big things that we're looking for here. And so stamina sack is good, pineapple is good. I wasn't watching well enough to know if we really want the mana orb. I mean, just churning through the we have to want the mana orb, right? We have the Excalibur, and so we'll snatch that up as well. Let's take one more roll, see if a bag or something turns up. I'm fine again with selling off this dagger. Didn't turn up, bit unfortunate, but can get the boots upgrading. I think this fits in here reasonably. No, not really. He's got to find more bags. I wonder, it's pretty tempting to just take the dragon claws out. Like I want something kind of like this happening to where our, whatever this thing is called is getting more food in line. Maybe this is a kind of way to look at this, right? We have the big bags that we can just put the dragon scale armor in. I'm not quite ready to get rid of it, but hey, that will certainly help with that space. And gotta start getting All right, so something like that is at least a start. We can look to get the pineapple in here, and then I would like to have the banana in here. I think the banana is just one of the more important ones to help keep our stamina up and running. Then we can look to put the mana orb here. That looks decent. I guess it's hitting the food and the weapon as opposed to just two foods. Sure. All right, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. We're gonna get there. We're getting that poison ramped up, and our battle rage is gonna fall. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough without the cheese. Like it gives you the health to sustain through a lot of this stuff. All right, so we'll pick up the stamina sack. See what continues to find. There we go. That's the sauce we've been looking for. We get both the cheese and another berries. Finally, that stuff turned up. And so let's see. Let's see if we can't make this look any better. Definitely want to start wrapping around the Excalibur. I think like this thing is kind of fine. We can just swap around wherever the Deerwood Guardian and the spiked collar are. I guess Might be a little bit more appealing to have it just like this already. Oh, no. It's like with its formation, it's got the 3 stars like directly in front of it. It's going to want to be... Well, I think that's okay for the moment. Get the cheese up in here. Let's get... Where'd it go? Let's just get one of these 1 hex items over here by the cheese so it activates a little faster. At least the items that we particularly care about are starting to get wrapped around the Excalibur. So that's good. Put the onions in as well. Then we just have 1 hex left over. I think I would rather have the spiked collar in play than have the mana orb in play. That seems reasonable. Excalibur starting to get there. Okay. All right. Well, it's taken us a while to get to this point to finally find some of the good build-around stuff. I just worry that we didn't find it fast enough. So this is another one. I saw his health shoot way down, and I was like, oh, that seemed really fast. We were doing really good. And then I realized that he was a res comp, and so he's only going to get 1 resurrection, though. Hi. Onward and upward. We've got a little bag. We got a banana. That's all well and good. What else do we got here? Just garbage. Don't want the healing herbs. Here's another bag along with another food. Okay, okay. We can start getting this stuff in here better and better now. So I think there's just got to be a better way to do this bottom row. Let me see. Or maybe the answer to it's like I was like, well, maybe the answer is just to shift some of this bottom stuff up, but it messes with our ability to kind of wrap around. Okay, where does this get us? If we can, it's like I hate being lazy within the game, but it does feel like you get to a certain point to where you just have to be like, oh, this is what it's gonna be, you know. Like, this is what I'm going to build with because I'm not going to rearrange again. So we'll get that in here. Let's see. Like, this is how I think we want the chieftain thing to start looking like. It's having it over here to the right. Now we got some of these awkward hexes to fight through, though. Did all that wonderful work to just take our bananas out of the mix. All right, so that's looking reasonable. Have to see if we can't fix some of the stuff at the bottom. This will be a little bit better. We got 2 foods within the bag. This top right set of hexes is a little fucky. All right, so that looks better, right? We have the Excalibur wrapped everywhere except for 1 star. That's fine. Things are a little bit worse over here with our Pandemonium and the 3 hex unit taking up 3 of the stars, but that's something that we'll have to work towards a little bit more in the future. I think this is starting to look decent. Our Deerwood Guardian isn't in really prime position. I'm hoping we can either like move it up 1 or down 1 or something to get it in a little bit better spot, or maybe we get the bags to move the dragon armor up here to the top left, and then we can kind of figure out how to get it going. So I think that's fine. I think our build is, you know, finally starting to come together here a little bit. We definitely want to pick up more cheeses, pick up more blueberries. I like how the magic torches are coming together. The last thing I'll say that we kind of need is something that just gives us buffs on everything. Tends to be things like the legendary rabbit that we've passed on up to this point, right? The cheeses do give you random buffs, so you can kind of build up what you're missing, but I would like the ability to start activating this artifact stone heat, and we aren't quite there yet, but from like 2 turns ago, this looks wildly better. dude's doing the food as well. He's got 2 cheeses instead of 1. Must be nice. He's definitely got a lot more mana generation as well. He's gonna just get, it's just gonna scale, right? He's gonna get way more Excalibur activations. Yeah, you can see his buffs are literally just like double our buffs. Well done. All right, but we're still getting there. We're getting close. So we're gonna take the bag for certain. The gen lamp does do a little bit of what we want there, but we have enough like attack boosty stuff. This isn't really a gen lamp build, so we'll skip on it. I'm a little interested in the Wolpentinger. This is the rabbit we've been talking about. It's not going to get the pet buffs, which is a real negative for it, but it does give us those stats that we're looking for. I think that we're just going to end up skipping over it. Like we might be able to get a trumpet or whatever that can give you some random stats, but I just don't think that's where we're at. We're still trying to fit some of this other stuff in here, like the just random dragon stuff that we have. All right, cool. So we got another cheese in a 1-slot bag. That's very useful for us at this point. Let's see how we can rearrange and get this stuff in here. I think you probably just end up getting the cheese down here closer to the bottom. Something like that. Go ahead and fix this pineapple while we have the opportunity. Do this. I've been wanting to some of these items we just have to get in here. So like we really need to get these mana orbs in here somewhere. Placement isn't super ideal. I want it here, right? But then if we want to activate this stuff, we need more 1-hex items. Alright, so something like that looks reasonable. Not getting maximum value out of this stuff, but it's getting kind of close, I guess. Yeah, we got these rando just 2 hexes at the bottom. Maybe this is what we do, just put the gloves on the cheese down here. That'll open up a little space. Okay, sure. Alright, well that fills everything out. Our Excalibur doesn't look spectacular, but it does have the 2 cheeses in there. I figure this is about as good as it's going to get for those. this Deerwood Guardian is still struggling. Maybe we can at least make life a little bit better for it. It really needs to come in that 1 hex, right? That's a little more appealing, a little more pleasant, right? Instead of having 1 star, it's got 5 stars now. I mean, sure. Okay. We're in. We're ready. What's this guy doing? Some kind of lifesteal? I think we made it. Fought through that one. All right. Let's see if we get to that survival round mode. I kind of believe in us. I think it's starting to at least come together. And so let's see. Let's pick up a bag. What else we got? Blueberries, super important here. The flute, I'm not opposed to, but I don't think it's going to work out. There's a cheap bag. Snatch that up, and Wolf and Tiger turns up again. He's just a little bit too expensive. Can't use this stuff. I'm not really planning on going into another round after this, so I just wanted to continue on rolling here at the end. So let's see if we can't at least upgrade some of this prime real estate that we're spending out here. So we got the max wrap on the Pandemonium. That's fine. This down here at the bottom, I'm not really seeing ways to fix, so I'm just going to skip over that. Can get some more bananas up top and hit the Deerwood Guardian that way. I don't think we're going to roll into the next round, but we'll go ahead and just put reserves on the pineapple and the bag, just in case we're feeling frisky. So let's roll on in. Up against the dragons. I don't think we're going to scale up high enough to survive the onslaught. Oh. I saw, like, it looked like the health went to 0, and then it kicked back up to 18, and then it dropped right back down to 0. And so it definitely felt good. And so I'm just going to take the win out of this one. Like, surviving 3 rounds doesn't seem that impossible, but I think that that's a reasonable place to stop here. This is one of these builds as to where, I'm not certain how I think of this stuff, in the sense that, like, I'm still doing quite a bit of learning at this game, but it's really tough for me to still pick out the spots to where at a real high level we just took the wrong path, right? And so I expect that, like, a lot of the micromanaging that I'm doing at this point is off and not right. I'm sure someone that's played tons of backpack battles can look at this bag and just immediately spot what's wrong with it and how to rearrange everything to maximize everything that we have here, and that's fine. That's just something that comes with experience. We've played this game for we're pushing the 100-hour mark in here, and it's just something that you get with time and experience and learning. But the big things that I'm really kind of missing in here is I still feel like that subclass section is the most important thing. And I'm still not feeling like, okay, I'm recognizing what's happening in the early game and how we're going to transition that into the mid game with the subclasses, and then how that's going to transition into a late game build. And it's like, I can see it when it goes right. And so if we're playing this early game and we started off with like 2 bananas and a blueberries and 2 onions, and then a cheese turned up, you'd be like, oh yeah, we're just going food. We're just doing the food stuff. We're going to get the Excalibur and be off to the races with that. But the way this one started is like we were kind of in these weapony style of builds. We had the magic torch that wants you to build towards weapon stuff. We had the dagger that could have led us towards building, torch and dagger and hammer and brass knuckles, and just going right down that route and going with like a scaling attack kind of thing. But it didn't seem like the weapons we needed were coming together, right? We got well into the mid game to where our weapons were just like a torch and a hammer and a dagger. We never got like that supporting weapon to go along with it. And so from there, it's like, I'm not certain if I just need to pick a better early game weapon and then the later game ones will just turn up later, right? You're not going to find a busted blade until after the subclass, but did we see like a chain whip thing? No. Did we see a hungry blade? No. And so, like, I'm not certain what would have really solidified the build there. And so it was like we did a lot of like hee-hawing around without really determining what the build was going to do. We did land on the food since the pandemonium turned up in the middle game, and it gave us something to directly build towards. But whenever you're doing a food build with the Berserker, you either want to be in cheeses. Well, you don't either. You definitely want to be in with cheeses. And then you want to also ideally have one of the other the icons that let you build into another faction, and so you can get chili peppers, and so you can get the better high quality food, and you're not just running around with a bunch of onions. And so like there's that aspect to it, and then there's also the idea of I had a thought and it left me. It had to do with kind of transitioning in there, but it was like, the food hasn't turned up here. Do we just jump into pets? We don't have any gooberts, so we want to be in pets. Like I'm just missing the transitions, and it's tough for me to pick up on. And so, I feel like we've been getting a lot of good learning moments throughout the courses of a lot of these battles. If you're into this game, I hope it does help if you're trying to climb up and at least have some of these things to think about, because we're certainly very far away from being a mid-ranked player. And so good stuff, though. I've been having fun learning quite a bit. Nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and you had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Weed. Thank you for being here.